Here is Chris Wallace speaking about that debate just yesterday on CNN.
In the immediate aftermath of that debate, I certainly, like a lot of Americans, was very disappointed with Donald Trump's performance. I actually think Donald Trump lost the presidency in that debate by his performance. He dropped about 4 or 5 points. He never regained it. And I've talked to a lot of people in the top echelons of his staff. They say he finally understands how badly he did in the 2020 debate. And the two words that are coming out you don't usually hear from the Trump camp are nice and respectful. He intends to be both. We'll see whether it happens. As far as Joe Biden is concerned, I think the key question is, are we going to see the Joe Biden of old or the old Joe Biden?
I mean, Trump interrupted Biden 145 times.
No, he interrupted Biden and me. He only interrupted Biden 79 times.
It was kind of irritating because Chris Wallace is so biased in that debate, but he's not wrong about the interrupting. Go ahead, Matt.
He was. I'm very disappointed in the performance of Chris Wallace, having watched that and looked at that. Not just on the whining, Mr. President, I'm the moderator here, and I know it's a very tough assignment, and few people do it well. Megyn, you've done it well, but it's also you can also like get pear shaped really quick. I understand all of that. However, it's the actual substance which kind of blew me away looking at it in hindsight, because part of what Chris Wallace was doing was being really, really snide and hectoring towards Trump about daring to disagree with his scientists about the science on COVID. And he was saying,
right.
Sir, are you questioning the efficacy of masking? Are you really saying that masking isn't going to save everybody? And Trump's like, look, I got no problem with masking. I'm not really against it. I got a mask right here. But, you don't have to wear it all the time. And Trump was more right about that than Chris Wallace. Wallace was busting his chops of like, sir, do you really believe that the vaccine's going to be available anytime soon? Your experts say it's not going to happen until next summer. And he's like, no, it's going to happen sooner than that. And they spent like minutes on this, like shaking their damn heads that Trump would dare to disagree with the director of the CDC, Redfield at the time, who was saying crazy stuff. He was saying at that time that masks are just as effective as the vaccine. That's crazy, right? Like the history will judge that to be the craziest thing that was echoed when Joe Biden, said basically it was true at that debate, much more than Donald Trump's interruptions. And it's just odd because all we do, by we now I sort of mean the journalistic class, is that we love to score the style points on all of this. And, that's part of it. It's not wrong to pay attention to it. It speaks to temperament and a bunch of other things. But occasionally there's policy. And what Joe Biden did and Chris Wallace did in that debate was telegraph the policy and the sort of style of discourse that would be popular among Democrats in the media in 2021 and 2022, which was, we are going to pretend, we're going to cloak our total fear factor type of policies about COVID, where we're just going to mask 2-year-olds late into 2022 in the state of New York and other places. We're going to cloak that in the science. We're going to shake our heads witheringly at Donald Trump at all opportunities. And we're never going to revise later and say, oh, you know what? We were kind of wrong about that. Never. Trump was saying we should open the schools. The political class said, my God, what a monster. He wants to kill kids. No, he was right. You were wrong. And that is all out there for you to see in that debate. And Chris Wallace's performance is incredibly lopsided against Trump in that too. So, yeah, it was disappointing for Trump, but it was disappointing for him as well.
Well, the other thing to add to is he missed, sometimes the moderator can fall so in love with his or her own voice and questions that they miss the chance to let the candidates actually debate. I know you've got your 2 minutes and Joe Biden is supposed to have them to answer, but when the other candidate is saying, let's mix it up, there's gold there in them thar hills. Let him do it. Let Trump interrupt him. Let Biden respond. This is exactly what we're here for. It's not an interview. It's so much more boring when it's like, oh, gee, I get to really hear what's interesting to Jake Tapper get answered by this. I want to see, what does Trump think Biden needs to answer for? What does Biden think Trump needs to answer for? What we need is the incredibly shrinking moderator. And I really hope these two remember that tonight. No one gives a shit about Dana Bash or Jake Tapper with respect to them both. They don't they're not showing up to see them. Most Americans have no idea who they are. They want to see the two gorillas go at it. So let them do it. F your rules. Let them do the thing they showed up to do. Debate.
Two frail, aging gorillas lumbering to the stage. No, Megyn, I think that's right. And, it's for us. It's not for you. That's what journalists forgot when they were covering Donald Trump. And as Matt pointed out before, and I've said this for years, in calling it the without evidence factor, which went away, by the way, the second Joe Biden became president, which was a key that was put onto every journalist's computer. So Donald Trump would say something and then you'd hit the key without evidence, because politicians say things without evidence all the time, but it was something that Donald Trump does, I think, I would say more frequently than many, but that became the thing. It became performative. I know you discussed the other day, Megyn, on the show, what CNN did to a Trump spokeswoman who came on. And that is performative nonsense, right? It's showing constantly. It's the democracy dies in darkness without evidence instinct. And it's everyone showboating to say, we're doing our job as journalists. Your job, to your point, Megyn, is to shut up and to back off. If you are, I used to tell people, talk to young people about doing interviews. And I said, here's the thing, don't have a series of questions, because you have your first question to get everything going. Because when you're looking at your card, waiting for the next question, you're allowing all these off ramps, which are really, really interesting. You're just letting them go because you're waiting for the person to finish to get to the second question. And as you point out, the version of that in a debate is this 2-minute time constraint. Let them go if those 2 minutes are allowing some fireworks, because if it's illuminating to us, the voters, that is the purpose. I am not here to say CNN is doing a great job of fact checking, because again, Twitter is not real life. That has been the instinct in the last 8 or so years, is like, oh, we're going to get killed by the media class and media critics and people on Twitter if we don't fact check everything. The American people, by the way, stop condescending to them. They're capable of fact checking a lot of things in their own, and the other candidate is the fact checker on stage. That is what Joe Biden is.
Well, it's going to be hard for them to resist that, Kmele, because let's face it, they've spent the past, 4+ years censoring Donald Trump. Remember, ever since he started doing the stuff about he didn't lose and all that, they got into a panic about letting him have any portion of their airwaves, cutting away from him at pressers while he was still president of the United States, then his campaign, cutting that down, repeatedly bailing on him. MSNBC, the same thing. We can't allow him to speak without us constantly fact checking him. They've got a whole, what's that guy's name? Daniel, what's his name? Dale? I can't remember. At CNN.
The fact checker.
Whose only job is to fact check Trump. He barely ever touches Biden. It's all about Trump. So now what position are they in when Trump gets up there and says the things that they haven't allowed him to say on their airwaves? And do they see it as, I'm going to let Joe Biden handle this? Or do they see it as here I come to save the day, and an underdog comes out from the moderator's desk? Credit card rewards like cash back can empower families with some extra savings while they're dealing with the rising price of groceries and gas and all the rest of it. But our sponsor, the Electronic Payments Coalition, says some DC politicians are partnering with corporate megastores to take the cashback rewards away from families during skyrocketing inflation. Specifically, they say that the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill would take billions from American families, lining corporate pockets instead. Learn more at electronicpaymentscoalition.org and see for yourself if you want to protect credit card rewards and tell DC politicians to oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. That's electronicpaymentscoalition.org. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.